Long ago, in a cheerful little house filled with toys and laughter, a young boy received a very special gift. Inside a small cardboard box stood 25 tin soldiers. Each soldier wore the same bright uniform. Each carried a tiny rifle, and each stood proudly at attention, ready for whatever adventure might come their way. The soldiers had all been made from the same old tin spoon. At first glance, they looked exactly alike. But if someone looked carefully, they would notice that one soldier was different from all the others. The very last soldier had only one leg. The toy maker had run out of tin before he could finish him. Yet, the one-legged soldier never seemed bothered by this at all. He stood just as straight as the others, just as proud, just as brave. The boy placed the soldiers on a table near his bed, where they could look out over the room. From his place on the table, the one-legged soldier could see many wonderful things. There were books neatly stacked on shelves. There were colorful toys arranged in different corners of the room. There were tiny decorations and trinkets that sparkled whenever sunlight entered through the window. But among all the things he saw, one captured his attention more than anything else. Near a beautiful paper castle stood a graceful ballerina. She wore a delicate dress made of thin paper and lace. Her arms were stretched gently outward. Her face carried a peaceful smile, and she balanced perfectly on one leg. From where the soldier stood, her other leg was hidden beneath her dress. To him it appeared that she too had only one leg. The soldier thought she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He admired the way she stood so elegantly and confidently. Without speaking a single word, he felt a connection to her. As the day passed, he continued to watch her quietly. Soon evening arrived. The sun disappeared beyond the rooftops. Shadows stretched across the room. The boy climbed into bed, closed his eyes, and drifted peacefully to sleep. The room grew silent. Moonlight slipped softly through the window. Everything appeared perfectly still, or at least that is what anyone would have believed. For when midnight arrived, something magical began to happen. The toys slowly came to life. The dolls whispered to one another. The toy animals wandered across the shelves. Little figures danced and played as though they were attending a grand celebration. The room filled with quiet excitement. But the tin soldier did not join them. He remained standing proudly in his place. His eyes never left the ballerina. Across the room, another toy was watching. It was an old jack-in-the-box with a mischievous goblin inside. The goblin noticed the soldier looking toward the ballerina, and he did not like it, not one bit. The goblin suddenly sprang from his box. His eyes narrowed. His voice became sharp. "Keep your eyes to yourself," he warned. But the tin soldier said nothing. He simply continued looking at the ballerina. The goblin grew even more annoyed. "I am warning you," he said. Still the soldier remained silent. The goblin slowly retreated back into his box. But before disappearing, he whispered one final message. "You will regret ignoring me." The room soon became quiet again. The toys returned to their places. The moon continued shining through the window, and the steadfast tin soldier remained standing proudly, thinking only of the beautiful ballerina nearby. Little did he know that by morning, a great adventure would begin. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window and filled the room with warmth. The children hurried about, laughing and playing as they began their day. The tin soldier stood quietly on the table, exactly where he had been the night before. Across the room, the ballerina still stood beside her paper castle. For a brief moment, everything seemed peaceful. Then, quite suddenly, something unexpected happened. A gust of wind swept through the open window. Or perhaps it was simply chance. No one could say for certain. But in an instant, the steadfast tin soldier lost his balance. Down he fell, out through the window, past the flower box, past the wall of the house, and down toward the street far below. The fall was long, yet when he finally landed, he struck the ground head first and remained standing as proudly as he could. The world around him suddenly felt enormous. Tall buildings rose above him. People hurried past. Wagons rattled over the streets. Clouds gathered overhead. Soon the first drops of rain began to fall. The rain grew heavier and heavier. Water rushed along the gutters. The streets quickly filled with streams of moving water. The soldier remained where he had fallen. Though the rain soaked him completely, he never complained. He simply stood tall. Before long, 2 young boys came running through the storm. They noticed something shining near the curb. "Look," one of them exclaimed, "a tin soldier!" The boys picked him up and examined him carefully. Then one of them smiled. "I have an idea," he said. The boys quickly folded a small paper boat from a sheet of newspaper. When the boat was finished, they placed the soldier inside. "There," said one boy happily. "Now he can go on an adventure." They set the tiny paper boat into the rushing water, and away he sailed. The current carried him swiftly through the flooded streets. The little boat bobbed up and down as it traveled. The soldier stood perfectly still. He did not fear the rushing water. He did not fear the unknown journey ahead. He simply faced forward and remained brave. The streams carried him farther and farther from home. Soon the boat entered a narrow tunnel beneath the street. Darkness surrounded him. The cheerful sounds of the city disappeared behind him. Only the sound of rushing water remained. The tunnel felt cold and mysterious. Shadows stretched across the walls. The paper boat drifted deeper into the darkness. Yet, even there, the soldier remained steadfast. At last, a pair of glowing eyes appeared beside the boat. A large water rat emerged from the shadows. The rat swam alongside him, staring suspiciously. "Who are you?" demanded the rat. "Where are your papers? Where is your permission to travel here?" The soldier gave no answer. He continued standing proudly in the boat. The rat became increasingly annoyed. Again and again it called after him, but the rushing water carried the little boat onward. Soon the current grew stronger. The tunnel began to open ahead. The sound of crashing water echoed through the darkness. The boat was approaching something much larger, something much more dangerous. Yet the steadfast tin soldier never wavered. He stood exactly as he always had, brave, calm, and ready to face whatever came next. The roaring sound ahead grew louder with every passing moment. The little paper boat rushed forward, carried by the powerful current. The water churned and swirled around it. Waves splashed over the sides. The tunnel suddenly opened into a larger channel where the rushing water seemed stronger than ever before. The paper boat bounced wildly. The soldier could feel the boat straining against the current. Still, he remained standing. The water rose higher and higher around his feet. The newspaper began to soften. Its edges curled. Its folds weakened. Little by little, the boat began to sink. The soldier looked upward toward the small patch of light above him. He thought of the boy's room. He thought of the paper castle. And most of all, he thought of the graceful ballerina. The water continued to rise. Soon it reached his waist, then his shoulders. The little paper boat had nearly dissolved completely. Yet the soldier never moved. He never cried out. He never showed fear. He simply stood proudly as he always had. At last, the boat gave way entirely. The soldier slipped beneath the water. Down he sank into the rushing darkness below. The current carried him deeper and deeper. Everything around him became cold and silent. Then, without warning, a great fish appeared. Its mouth opened wide, and in a single instant, the soldier was swallowed whole. Darkness surrounded him. Complete darkness. The soldier could see nothing at all. He could hear only the faint sounds of water moving somewhere beyond the fish. Hours passed, perhaps even days. The soldier could not tell. Inside the fish, there was no sunlight, no moonlight, no way to know how much time had gone by. Still, he remained patient. Still, he remained brave. Far away above the water, fishermen cast their nets into the sea. One morning, they pulled up a large fish. It was the very fish that had swallowed the tin soldier. The fishermen carried it to market. There it was sold to a cook. Later that day, the cook placed the fish upon a table and began preparing it for supper. As the fish was opened, something shiny appeared inside. The cook paused in surprise. "What is this?" she wondered. Reaching inside, she carefully pulled out the object. To her amazement, it was a tiny tin soldier. The soldier had traveled through rainstorms, tunnels, rushing waters, and the belly of a fish. And yet somehow he remained standing proudly on his single leg. The cook laughed softly and carried him into another room. Without realizing it, she was about to return him to the very place where his remarkable journey had begun. The soldier could not know it yet, but home was closer than ever before. The cook carried the tiny soldier into the next room and placed him gently on a table. For a moment, the soldier could hardly believe what he saw. It was the same room from which he had fallen, the same shelves, the same toys, the same paper castle standing proudly in its place. Everything appeared exactly as he remembered it. The room was warm and familiar. Sunlight drifted through the windows. The toys sat quietly where they had always been. And there, beside the paper castle, stood the ballerina. She looked just as beautiful as she had on the day he first saw her. Her delicate dress shimmered softly in the light. Her arms remained gracefully outstretched, and she still balanced perfectly upon one leg. The soldier felt a quiet happiness fill his heart. After all that had happened, after every danger and every hardship, he had somehow found his way back. He stood proudly and gazed toward her. The ballerina, of course, remained perfectly still. Yet somehow it seemed as though she welcomed him home. The soldier thought of the dark tunnel, the rushing water, the paper boat, the great fish. All of it now felt far away. For the first time since his journey had begun, he felt at peace. Days might have passed, or perhaps only a few hours. The soldier did not know. He simply enjoyed being back in the room, back where everything had started. As evening approached, the familiar shadows of night slowly returned. The golden light of sunset faded from the windows. The room grew quiet. One by one, the household settled down for the night. The toys stood motionless. The paper castle remained still. The ballerina stood gracefully in her place, and the steadfast tin soldier continued watching her from across the room. Then, quite suddenly, something unexpected happened. A child entered the room. Without any warning at all, the child picked up the soldier. No one knew why. There was no reason, no explanation. Perhaps it was simply a whim. Perhaps it was chance. Whatever the reason, the child walked toward the fireplace. The flames danced brightly inside. The room glowed with warm orange light, and before anyone could stop it, the child tossed the soldier directly into the fire. The soldier landed among the burning logs. Flames rose around him. Heat surrounded him from every side. Yet even now, he did not panic. He did not cry out. He did not lose his courage. The fire grew hotter. The flames climbed higher. The bright metal of his uniform began to glow. Still, he stood proudly. Still, he faced the world with dignity. Across the room, the ballerina remained beside her paper castle. The soldier looked toward her one last time. The fire crackled softly. The room remained silent, and the story's final moments were drawing near. The fire crackled softly as the steadfast tin soldier stood among the glowing embers. The heat grew stronger with every passing moment. The bright colors of his uniform slowly faded. The metal of his body began to soften in the flames. Yet, even now, he remained as brave as ever. He stood proudly upon his single leg, just as he had from the very beginning. Across the room, the ballerina still stood beside her paper castle. The warm light of the fireplace danced across her delicate dress. For a brief moment, everything seemed perfectly still. The soldier looked toward her, and though neither could speak, it felt as though they understood one another. Then a gentle breeze drifted through the room. Perhaps it came through an open door, perhaps through a small crack in the window. No one could say. The breeze lifted the ballerina lightly into the air. She floated gracefully across the room, almost as if she were dancing. For a moment she seemed to glide upon invisible wings. Then, softly and silently, she drifted into the fireplace beside the soldier. The flames surrounded them both. The fire glowed brightly, and together they disappeared into the warmth of the dancing embers. The room grew quiet. Outside, night settled gently over the rooftops. The stars shone above the sleeping town, and one by one, the lights in the house went dark. By morning, the fire had burned itself out. The ashes lay cool and still within the fireplace. When the house was awake once more, someone came to clean away the remains of the fire. As the ashes were brushed aside, something unusual was discovered. The tin soldier was gone, but among the ashes lay a tiny heart made of tin. Though the flames had melted the rest of him away, the little heart remained. Nearby rested a small blackened sparkle from the ballerina's dress. The two tiny treasures lay side by side among the ashes, and there they remained, as though the soldier and the ballerina had never truly been separated at all. And so ends the story of the steadfast tin soldier. Though he faced storms, darkness, rushing waters, and fire itself, he never lost his courage. He never complained. He never gave up. And through every challenge, he remained true to himself. As the house settled into another peaceful night, the memory of the brave little soldier quietly lived on. And perhaps somewhere in the world of toys and dreams, his journey continued still. Good night,